Let me tell you about trust. For 42 years, I trusted Arthur Blanchard. I trusted him with my heart, with our children, with our future. But most of all, I trusted him with our money. That was my first mistake. My last mistake was waiting until he was dead to open his eyes. And mine. It started with a key. Not a dramatic key. A small, brass key. The kind you'd ignore in a junk drawer. I found it taped to the back of his wedding photo, the one from 1979, where we're young and stupid and think love conquers everything. He died tending his roses. Heart attack. Quick, they said. Painless. For him. The funeral was on a Tuesday. By Friday, I was sorting through his study. That's when I found it. And something cold slithered down my spine. Because Arthur had a ritual. Every Friday, 3 p.m. sharp, like cathedral bells, he'd put on that damn tweed jacket, kiss my cheek, and say, "Time to check the fortress, Maggie." He'd return an hour later with pastries, lemon tarts, every single week for 42 years. I thought he was meticulous, a retired principal being careful with our retirement. I was decorating a nursery for our first grandchild in my mind while he was digging our financial grave. The Monday after finding the key, I drove to First Savannah Trust, the bank he visited every Friday for 4 decades. I marched up to the manager, a man named Ben who couldn't have been older than my son. Boxed 114. I said, sliding the key across the marble counter. His smile froze. "Mrs. Blanchard, we wondered when you'd come." That sentence alone should have made me collapse. They wondered. The bankers knew. The tellers knew. The security guard probably knew. Everyone knew except the wife who shared his bed. He led me to the vault. The air smelled like money and fear. "Your husband was our most consistent client," Ben said, avoiding my eyes. "Never missed a Friday in 12 years I've worked here." 12 years. My granddaughter is 12. While she was learning to read, her grandfather was learning to forge my signature. The safe deposit box was heavier than it looked. I carried it to the private room, locked the door, and in that soundproof, windowless cell, I opened Pandora's box. Investment statements. Not our joint retirement accounts. Secret accounts. AB Holdings. Arthur Blanchard Holdings. Dates going back to 2008. Page after page of financial suicide. March 2009. $75,000 invested in deep water offshore drilling. Lost when the oil spill happened. 2012. $120,000 in Toronto's medical breakthroughs. You remember that scandal? He did. 2015. $200,000 in cryptocurrency mining futures. 2018. A can't-lose investment in a company developing edible spoons. I started laughing. A high, hysterical sound in that silent room. Edible spoons. Our life savings. Gone. The final balance on the last statement. $143.28. But that was just the appetizer. Our home. The 3-bedroom colonial on Magnolia Lane. We bought it in 1985 for $89,000. It's worth $850,000 today. Or it was. Reverse mortgage documents. 2 of them. Taken out in 2015 and 2019. Complex legal jargon. But the numbers screamed. Total debt. Secured. $625,000. He'd borrowed against 75% of our home's value. The bank owned my kitchen where I cooked our children's meals. My garden where I buried 3 dogs. The porch swing where he proposed. And here's the twist, he didn't just take the money. He funneled it into those secret accounts. the ones that bought edible spoons. He was robbing Peter to pay Paul. Except Peter was our home and Paul was a fantasy. Folder 3. The Ghost of Margaret Blanchard. This one had my name on it. Literally. Credit card applications. 7 of them. All pre-approved for Margaret Blanchard. All with my social security number. All with signatures that looked almost like mine. But I'm left-handed. These were right-handed slants. The G in Blanchard didn't loop the way I loop it. The T wasn't crossed. He'd studied my signature, practiced it, perfecting his forgery while I made his meatloaf. The balances took my breath away. Platinum rewards card, $42. 800 home improvement card, $35. 200 department store cards, $18,500 total personal. Lines of credit, $122 to 50 total, $218,750. All in my name, all maxed out. But the cruelest cut, the statements showed charges at places I'd never visited. A jewelry store in Atlanta, a luxury resort in Naples, men's boutiques. Was he buying gifts for someone? Living a double life. My mind spun with ugly possibilities. Then, at the very bottom, under all the betrayal, I found his confession, a cream-colored envelope. My name in his elegant script. The letter inside was dated 1 month before he died. My dearest Maggie, if you're reading this, I have failed you in every way a husband can fail. I am a coward writing from the grave because I couldn't face you. Alive. It started with one mistake. In 2008, I moved $50,000 from our retirement into what I thought was a safe investment. It collapsed in the financial crisis. I was too ashamed to tell you. So I borrowed against the house to replace it. Then that investment failed too. Every Friday for the last 12 years, I haven't been protecting our fortress. I've been trying to stop it from collapsing. I've lied to you every single week. I've forged your name. I've destroyed your credit. I've gambled away our home. The life insurance policy lapsed 3 years ago. I couldn't afford the premiums. There's nothing left. Only debt. And my shame, which is endless. Do not waste your grief on me. Use your anger. Fight, Maggie. Fight like I should have fought. Save yourself. Forgive me if you can. I don't deserve it. Yours in eternal regret, Arthur. Forgiveness. No. What flooded me was white-hot, crystalline rage. The kind that doesn't make you scream. It makes you deadly quiet. I carefully placed every document back in the box. I walked out of that bank with my spine straight. The Georgia sun was brutal. I got in my car, and then, for the first time, I screamed. A raw, tearing sound that came from my toes. Then I wiped my face, and I started making calls. Call 1. My son, Michael. Mom, you okay? Your father left us. Bankrupt. He forged my name onto $100,000 of debt. The bank owns our house. Meet me at home in 1 hour. The silence was profound. Then, I'm on my way. Call 2. My daughter, Sarah, in Seattle. Hi, Mom. How are you holding? Your father was a thief and a forger. He destroyed our finances. I need you to check your credit report immediately. Mom, have you lost your mind? Dad would never. I have the documents, Sarah. The forged signatures. His confession letter. You're lying. Or you're confused. I can't listen to this. Click. That hurt more than anything in the box. My own daughter choosing her fantasy of her father over her mother's reality. Call 3. Jennifer Cole, attorney. They shark. Lorraine from book club said, you don't need a lawyer. You need a predator. Jennifer's voice was calm, sharp. This is spousal financial abuse. Posthumous fraud. We're going to eviscerate them. Come to my office tomorrow at 9. The war had begun. Jennifer's office smelled like expensive coffee and victory. She spread the documents across her massive oak desk. Margaret, this is one of the most egregious cases I've seen. But we have advantages. 1. He's dead, so he can't contradict us. 2. These forgeries are obvious to an expert. 3. The reverse. Mortgage company violated federal guidelines for spousal consent. She pointed to a line in the mortgage document. See this? They claim you were counseled about the loan. Where's your signature? Where's the certificate of counseling? There isn't one. That's our nuclear weapon. She handed me a list. Here's what we do. File police report for identity theft. Hire forensic document examiner. File complaints with CFPB against the mortgage company. Dispute every credit account with the forgery evidence. Sue the mortgage company for fraudulent lending practices. It could take a year, she warned. It will cost money you don't have. I'll work on contingency because I want to destroy these people. But Margaret, are you prepared for what comes next? The depositions? The court appearances? Your family. Tearing apart. I looked at the photo on her desk, her with 2 smiling daughters. My family, I said quietly, is already torn apart. Let's fight. The next 6 months were hell. The police report. Officer Rodriguez was kind but skeptical. Ma'am, it's unusual to file identity theft against a deceased spouse. Until he saw the side-by-side signatures. Oh my. The forensic expert. Dr. Chen. A tiny woman with a microscope. Look here, she showed me. Your natural signature has a fluidity. These forgeries have hesitation marks, tiny pauses where he stopped to think. And the pressure is all wrong. This is absolutely not your writing. The mortgage company, their lawyer, a slick man named Dawson, called Jennifer. We have a valid lien. She's the spouse. She's liable. Jennifer's response. See you in court. You bottom-feeding weasel. She actually said that my children, Michael, moved back home. At 42, he slept in his childhood room. He became my rock, my tech support, my shoulder. But the anger ate at him. He was my hero, Mom. How could he do this? Sarah sent one email. I think you need help. Grief counseling. I can't be part of this character assassination. Please don't contact me until you're thinking clearly. I printed that email. Carried it in my purse. The paper wore thin from my fingers tracing the words. The money. I had $87 in checking. Social Security wasn't enough. So I got a job. At 68, bagging groceries at Publix. The humiliation was a bitter pill. Former teacher's wife, principal's widow, bagging groceries for former students. But something shifted in me. Every item I scanned, every bag I carried, was a middle finger to Arthur's memory. I was earning my survival. It was honest. The breakthrough came from an unexpected place. While organizing Arthur's files again, Michael found a receipt from a notary public, dated the same day as the second reverse mortgage. Mom, look, Dad paid a notary $50, but there's no notarized document in the mortgage paperwork. Jennifer pounced. He notarized something that day. Where is it? What did he notarize? We tore the house apart. Finally, in the attic, in a box labeled Ms. Decorations, we found it. A fake counseling certificate, notarized. stating I had received reverse mortgage counseling from Family Financial Advisors, a company that didn't exist. With my forged signature, it was fraud upon fraud. And the notary, suspended license. Jennifer was practically giddy. This isn't just invalidating the mortgage. This is criminal fraud. We're going to the DA. The courtroom was smaller than I expected, but the stakes were enormous. My home. Dawson, the mortgage lawyer, argued his case. Your Honor, Mrs. Blanchard benefited from the loans. She lived in the house. She's equally responsible. Then Jennifer stood. She moved like a panther. Your Honor, with permission, I'd like to enter Exhibit 42. She handed the judge the fake notarized certificate. This document, purportedly showing Mrs. Blanchard received counseling, is a forgery. The notary's license was suspended. The company doesn't exist. This is fraud. And we have evidence Mr. Blanchard paid the notary $50 to notarize this fraudulent document. She approached the bench. But the real question isn't about this document. It's about a system that allows a husband to systematically destroy his wife's financial life, to forge her name, to steal her identity, to leave her destitute at 68. And then dares to claim she's liable because she lived in the home he was secretly destroying. She turned and pointed at me. Look at her, Your Honor. A retired woman, a grandmother, forced to bag groceries because her husband of 42 years stole her future. And now this company wants to take the last thing she has, her home, where she raised her children, where her memories live. She paused. Let it hang in the air. That's not justice. That's adding insult to injury. The judge, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes, looked at Dawson. Counselor, your response. Dawson shuffled papers. The loan was legally originated, with fraudulent documents. The judge interrupted. We weren't aware. Shouldn't you have been? The silence was absolute. The judge's ruling took 10 minutes. She detailed the fraud, the forgery, the notary. Then, the liens are void. The mortgage is invalid. The property is free and clear. Case dismissed. Michael grabbed my hand. Tears streamed down his face. I felt nothing, then everything. A wave of relief so profound I almost vomited. We won the house. The credit cards were removed from my report, but the emotional cost still being calculated. 3 days after the ruling, Sarah showed up at my door. No call, just appeared. She looked exhausted. Can I come in? We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where I'd served thousands of family meals. I checked my credit. She whispered, there's a card. From 2017. $12,000 limit. Maxed out. In my name. My blood went cold. Oh, Sarah. No. I never opened it. I called the company. The charges are men's suits, golf clubs, hotel rooms in Vegas. She started crying. It's true, isn't it? Everything you said. I showed her everything. The documents, the forgeries, Arthur's letter. She read it all, her hands shaking. When she finished, she looked at me with shattered eyes. He bought a $2,000 suit with my identity while I was using coupons for diapers. We held each other and wept. For what he did. For what we lost. For the man we both loved who never really existed. The healing was slow. But Jennifer had another idea. Margaret, you should tell your story. At the senior center. So many women are in your situation but are too ashamed to speak. I almost said no. Then I thought, Arthur's shame kept me silent. I won't let his shame rule me anymore. My first talk had 6 women. I was terrified, but I told them everything. The Friday rituals, the safe deposit box, the edible spoons, the forgeries, the grocery bagging. When I finished, a woman named Eleanor, 75, raised her hand. My son has power of attorney. He's taken things. I'm scared to say anything. Another, Grace. My husband handles everything. I don't even know how to write a check. That day, the Friday Circle was born. Not a support group, a rebellion. We meet every Friday at 3 p.m. Poetic justice. We teach each other how to read a bank statement, though, to check your credit report. How to say, show me the accounts, to your husband. How to hire a lawyer. How to fight back. We've grown. 20 women, then 50. We have a pro bono lawyer who comes monthly, a credit counselor. We've helped women recover over $2 million in stolen assets. One woman, Rose, 80, discovered her nephew had stolen $300,000 from her reverse mortgage. We helped her press charges. He's in prison now. Another, Beatrice, found her husband of 50 years. Had a second family in another state, funded by their retirement. We are warriors, with walkers and arthritis and memories longer than you can imagine. Last month, I went to a new bank, SunTrust. Arthur never banked there. I approached the teller, a young woman with kind eyes. I'd like to open an account, please. Of course. What name? Margaret Elizabeth Wilson. She typed, new to our bank. Ms. Wilson? I smiled. Yes, starting fresh. When the paperwork was done, she handed me my new debit card. My name, my account, my money from my job at the library. I quit Publix. The library pays better and has better hours. As I turned to leave, she said, good luck with your new beginning, Ms. Wilson. I paused at the door, looked back. It's not a beginning, I said. It's a reclaiming. If you're watching this and something in your gut is stirring, if the stories are sounding familiar, listen to that feeling. That's your survival instinct. Maybe it's the secret phone calls, the unexplained withdrawals, the don't worry your pretty head about it when you ask about money, the missing statements, the locked filing cabinet. Here's what I know now. Love doesn't mean blind trust. Marriage doesn't mean financial ignorance. Age doesn't mean helplessness. You have the right to know, to see, to ask, to demand transparency. If they refuse, that's your answer. It took me 42 years to learn. The most dangerous place for a woman is in the dark about her own finances. Don't wait for a key in a photo frame. Don't wait for a funeral. Turn on the light. Open the drawer. Ask the question. Your future self will thank you. And if you need help, find your circle. We're out here, waiting for you. Because here's the ultimate truth. They can steal your money. They can forge your name. They can lie for decades. But they cannot steal your voice. Unless you let them. Don't let them.